minutes after 9 o'clock. You know what I remember? I remember as a kid, I was looking at a movie, and I was thinking, gosh, I want to do that, what they're doing on that screen. And as I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, they're actors. They're not really doing any of that stuff on the screen. And so I came to this realization that whatever I wanted to do in life, I'd have to be inspired by somebody who's actually doing it. And of course, sometimes that isn't even always the best thing. But, you know, we have this tendency in our world to be inspired by and influenced by people who are in the spotlight. And gosh, so many times you hear stories about doctors who make these amazing discoveries and they're not household names. And meanwhile, you know, a guy who can play basketball really well or a girl who can sing really well, or they often become our role models. May not be the best thing. But I guess it depends. I guess some of them are good, some of them are bad. Yvette Araujo is on the phone. She has a background in psychology. I'm sure she's thought about this way more than I have. She's a therapist for troubled young males, it says here, and apparently a very talented writer, a director, a hospice caregiver. The book that she has is called The Loathing. We're going to find out about that a little bit. But also we're going to talk about that very subject as to whether entertainers and sports figures, et cetera, even politicians, are they good role models for today's youth, for anybody? And, you know, I've often wondered, do we even need role models? Yvette Araujo. Good morning, Yvette. How are you?
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me on your show this morning. I don't know what the weather is in Ocala, is it? But I'm here in California. Sun's coming up.
Oh, well, thank you for getting up early.
Yes, but I'm here, and the topic that you were speaking about with your listeners resonates so strongly with me because, as you said, I have worn lots of hats, and including one of being a counselor to conduct disorder and often specific male adolescents, and you know, it's troubling times, you know, for our youth these days.
Right. You know, one of the things I guess that you can relate to, anybody can relate to, really, is that we had this world where maybe it was innocent and no harm was meant, but we had all the dolls were like white people dolls, and even crayons. The flesh crayon, I remember the Crayola Company changed the name of the color to say peach because everybody didn't have flesh that was that color.
Yes.
So it was, you know, we're an evolving world. Hopefully we're getting better. But that was actually your experience, right, when you were a kid?
It was, and it's really funny that you did bring up the Crayola crayon and I can go one better is the hosiery. I remember wearing, you know, stockings, you know, when you're, you know, in your teens, and it was hard to find when they said, you know, nude meant for Anglo.
Right.
Color. And so, but yes, when I was a very small child, you know, Sears catalog, you couldn't wait to get it at holiday time. And, you know, in that catalog, I found a beautiful ballerina doll that when you pressed her, you know, her crown, she did amazing pirouettes. But it only came in Anglo. And so I asked my mom if we could have it, and my mom, you know, we were struggling. She was a nurse at the time, and she said no, you know, we wouldn't be able to get the doll. But she did manage. She managed to get the doll, but not only did she manage to get the doll, she had the doll taken to a doll maker or toy maker, and she had the doll complexion changed from Anglo to my complexion.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
To set the tone that, you know, me, I could be anything that I wanted to be. If it was a ballerina, then, you know, the Russians didn't have a monopoly on it. The Asians didn't have a monopoly on it. I, too, could go up there and I could pirouette. If I wanted to be a rocket scientist. So that stuck with me a lifetime, and I continue to instill that where my children are concerned or where any child is concerned.
Well, and that is really a beautiful thing. I mean, it's you can't argue with that. That's the way it should be. I think as children, we pretend, we make believe, because that is the way we prepare ourselves for what we're going to do in life as adults. I mean, even the word pretend, we are pre-doing it, you know, you're just pretending it. So, you know, whenever you've had like a breakthrough person like Jackie Robinson, for example, it suddenly motivated all the young black men who wanted to become baseball players. You know, anybody who has broken the race barrier or the gender barrier or any barrier.
Mm-hmm.
But what is unfortunate about those people, such as Jackie Robinson and all those that preceded him and then, came after, is that, it became, he did his penance and he paved the way so people of different nationalities and cultures could have, that type of life. And now it's all about get there real quick, down and dirty, and don't do the homework the way he did his homework. And he studied hard, and he played, and he practiced, and he did what he needed to do. So, the entertainers, and I'm not saying across the board, but the entertainers and the athletes of today's world is not quite like what, our, grandfathers and people of yesteryear set forth for us. I think they would be quite disappointed.
It seems to me, though, that once a person is in the spotlight, whether they're a sports figure or a singer or an actor, that all of a sudden, they have achieved what they wanted to, and then they're moving off into another career direction, and sometimes they become abrasive in their speech and take liberties because they're famous and because they feel they can.
And you're absolutely right about that, because they know that their words hold weight. They know that they have, social media on their side, and that is what our youth gravitates towards. They don't gravitate towards, one-on-one. It's about what's the next best thing on Instagram. What is everyone twittering about? What's on your Facebook page? What did, Lil Wayne say? And you know what? I'm down with that. And I find that really sad, because they're making statements, and some of them are not educated, and I don't mean they have to have a PhD, they don't have to have a bachelor's, but they're not educated as to what's going on in the world other than their own circle of, their entourage, in which, heralds them, and their yes men and their handlers and all of these things. So they're not well versed on the political stress and strains that goes on. They're not, versed on what goes on in other countries. So therefore, these children are just saying, hey, live large, live big, do this, and it doesn't really matter. And so you have a generation of apathy where there is, no compassion, no empathy at all.
Very well said. Very well said. Yvette, we have to take a little break, and we'll be back. I want to make sure we spend some time talking about your book also. The book is called The Loathing. I'm wondering if there is any of this in the book. So, Yvette Araujo, hang in there. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Yep.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds and some intervals of sun today with a shower and heavy thunderstorm around this afternoon. The high today 84 to 88. Partly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, low 66 to 70. More clouds and sun tomorrow with a shower and heavier thunderstorm around in the afternoon, high 83 to 87. For Friday, mostly cloudy with a shower and thunderstorm during the late morning and afternoon hours, the high 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hey, I'm Gary. And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, 17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Yvette Araujo is on the phone. We're going to talk about some of her books, but she also has some very insightful thoughts about how, celebrities influenced our young people. And we were all young people at one time. We probably all were influenced by celebrities or by fictional characters in books. I think that probably happened a lot in our lifetimes as well. Yvette, you said you were in California. Where are you in California?
I am in the county of Ventura. In Ventura County, it's north of Los Angeles, actually. Very beautiful. Closer to the ocean than if you were in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Sounds beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about your books. Do you cover the topics that we've been talking about in your stories?
Well, I think it definitely resonates to it. There's 12 books in the series. All have been written. They're being released, 6 to 12 months at a time. And we're on the third book of Androgyny. It's about 7 individuals that learn on February 29th that they no longer exist. They all died in different ways, whether it was a bank robbery, getting hit by a car. And they also learn that they are part of the 7 archangels from many millennium ago, and they're called back because we're heading towards the end of days. But in this series of books, what they're learning is more about why they came to be who they were in their human lives. And it's all started, when they were children. Some became, were raised in the church and was so steeped in the church by their parents, they railed against it and became agnostic, as they got older. Mm-hmm. And you have, another character in the book who struggles with his Jewish faith. You have another character in there that struggles with his, sexual orientation. But in the end, it's not about, where they came from. It's what their destination is, going to be and the journey that they have to take to get there. So these 12 books take you through that. And I think that anyone, child, adolescent, adult, will resonate with one or more of these characters because there's so much conflict and self-doubt and wondering, why they did what they did in their human lives and what their next journey is going to be.
You know what I like about what you said? You said there was a meaning behind their lives, and that implies that there was some entity, and I will call that entity God, that assigned that meaning. I mean, if we have a meaning, it must have come from somewhere. And going back to the earlier discussion about having being influenced by celebrities, whether they're sports or whatever. I mean, I'm not picking on the Kardashians. I don't know them at all. I walk through the checkout line at the grocery store and I see these articles, and that's it. That's all I know about them because I don't watch TV. So I'm guessing that it's a very superficial kind of a thing, right? You're seeing people obsessed with their looks, and I can't imagine that being your mission is to be obsessed with your looks.
Well, I can't imagine that, having a sex tape exposed would launch you to, mega stardom.
Yeah, right.
And that's what these young girls at 15 are doing. It's a little show here, and it's like, oops, I didn't mean that to slip. And
right,
it's like,
right.
And it's like, stop. Just like one of my characters in the book, Sydney, she's a school teacher by day, and she's the one that was raised, devoutly in the church. But by night, after school is out, she goes and she's a stripper. And, it's like she's rebelling against something that, was like, totally, I think she felt pressured upon her, and so now she's very conflicted. So, upon her death, she tries to go back to make amends with her parents and to see exactly what they were trying to do, which would have been great role models for her. But, as she got older, she was influenced by what her friends and people at university were whispering in her ear, that maybe there isn't something greater than yourself. Maybe this is the life you live, and then you die, and then that's it, end game. So, there are women or men that will resonate with that, living these double lives where you're conflicted on what you want and what good choices are.
Yeah. And again, you're making some really profound statements that have deep meaning, and I'm perceiving them to basically be saying, look, there is a God. I don't know if you're going to agree with what I'm saying here, but there is a God. There is a meaning to your life, and that meaning is kind of dictated by God. God says, look, this is what your job is, and go for it, and do me proud, or something like that.
Absolutely. I think we all have purpose, and we're a vessel for something. And there cannot be good without bad, and there can't be bad without good. So, even though, I always say this, and it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. I said, people say, hey, you can't learn from bad experiences, but yes, you can, because remember, Satan was once, God's most prized angel, and, he knows the Bible better than anyone. So, if you're speaking to someone that so-called calls themselves so steeped in the religion that they, profess to follow, it may not be the right thing. It could be misinterpreted. You have people that look to ministers and pastors, and they think them as God-like, and they're human,
right.
Just like they make mistakes, and some are role models because that's the life that they've chosen, whether you want it or not. It is what it is. You have a congregation that's looking to you for answers when they feel lost.
I think that sometimes some parents drop the ball too. There are other wonderful parents out there that are with their children. They make sure they're involved in their lives all the time. But then there are the other parents that only bring their children out, as adornments on their arm and say, "Oh, my son did great in school today. Now go back to your bedroom so I can have time with my friends."
Oh, Robin, you couldn't be so. That is so point on. It really is. You have, it starts in the house. It starts in the home, whether you're a single parent, whether you have a step parent, whatever type of, family situation you're being raised in, that's where it begins. And if you cannot set the bar for your children and stop trying to be their friends and Instagramming with them. You can have fun being a parent, but you have to, that is your main job. That is your lot. That was your choice. And so I think there's a lot to be gained. And children, they absorb it. You think that they don't, and they go through their, their trial and errors when they're 13 and 14 and they're going through hormonal changes. But if you stay on them, and if, like you say, and if you are involved and you stay close and you know what's going on, then that, I think, makes a child, which then becomes an adult, feel loved and cared for, whether it's overprotectiveness, whatever it is, they know that they have a family that they can come back and talk.
Ultimately, yeah, that is absolutely ultimately. Do you know, there was a horrible story yesterday out of Milwaukee, and the story, if you didn't hear it, it was a tragic story. A 2-year-old walked into the street at a party and was hit by a car and died. And the driver of the car got out and was horrified that this had happened. He himself was a father of 4. One of the guys at the party had a gun and decided to just shoot the guy in the head and assassinate him. So now he's dead too, with the little baby. Yeah. Coming back to the scene is the 15-year-old brother of the 2-year-old who had just dropped the baby off to go to this party, was off his way to do his own thing, sees something going on, goes back to see what's going on. He gets shot, also dies in surgery at the hospital.
Yes.
What I'm getting at is, I think that some of the video games, and I always get in trouble when I say this. People always get mad at me, but I don't know. I think, and I'm not saying for everybody, but some people will play these video games where you're shooting people as if there's no consequence at all to just shooting people, and they think that's real life.
And again, this is what I mean about apathy, because when you're inundated with things like these gangster, programmings that they're putting out, again, it's about the almighty dollar, and you grow quite cold and indifferent about taking a life. And I find it fascinating how they will transcribe these games into real life, such as the male adolescents that I counseled. Their train of thought, and they truly believe this. They said, look, you go big, or go home. Live fast, die young. I don't plan, Miss Yvette, to live until I'm 18 or 19 years old. I got to get my street credibility. I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, and this is what it's about. And
wow.
So I will be known for this. And so when you bring the gaming into the gaming industry, has so much to do. I mean, everything from Grand Theft Auto to, you know, some of the war games that there are played. These are people that, you know, especially like our soldiers that are out there on the front line, and they are trying to protect borders everywhere and bring, you know, the humanity back to the world. And then you have kids that are sitting at the, you know, in front of a television instead of a book and really understanding what's going on in the real world. And, you know, it's sad.
Wow, wow. You are awesome. I really love what you're saying. You know, and if you're dealing with young men, chances are they're looking at pornography, and chances are they are being influenced by that in the way that they probably don't understand how to treat a woman with respect.
Oh, it's, you know, with every word, you know, this is the thing, you know, you've got the N-word being dropped. You've got my trick, my hoe, my whatever, and I do this and I do that. And that makes you a man. You know, and women are loving this, and they're downloading these songs just as much, and they're gravitating towards the lifestyle. They want it, even if it's for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Just give me 15 minutes to be pregnant with this baby, or give me 15 minutes so I can be on TMZ, so I can have an Instagram shot with him, just to say that I was with this particular entertainer, and all will be well in the world, because now I will be in People magazine.
Wow.
or
Absolutely.
I will be on a show that sensationalizes
Yvette,
nastiness.
Yvette, we're out of time, but what a great interview. I always can tell a good interview because the time flies. The book is called The Loathing. There are other books also, Androgyny and Origin.
Yes.
Can you, real quickly, in 15 seconds, can you tell us a website?
Yes, it's called FallenTheBookSeries.com.
Okay.
And my latest short story is Over the Rainbow, Open Diary of a Black Girl. And I hope that everyone can appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you, Yvette. You're awesome. We'll be right back.
On nuclear deal, among the key issues the group of 7 industrial powers is tackling at a meeting in Germany. Our Secretary of State John Kerry's there with assurances after the passage of a bill giving Congress serious input into a deal.
We are confident